Hello. Today's video, I'm looking at these 3 cards I've made. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3. And you're thinking, it's all very different. Why are they all in one video? Well, I wanted to talk about the different thought process that goes on depending on what kind of foiling I'm doing. Now, there is a blog post that this video accompanies. So if you look in the video description, and you might have to click on the see more, there'll be a link to a blog post on the Couture Creations blog that explains all the materials I've used, and where I talk about how I think in different ways depending on what kind of hot foil, stamp or cut foil and embossed die I'm using. Okay, it's a bit of a different design process. Okay, so this card, I've called this my collage card because it really is a bunch of die cuts. And I've just kind of cut lots of stuff out and then just matted and laid my backing paper, and then I've just played to see how they look nice together and then stuck them down. And there's some foam tape behind this one to lift it up a bit. Okay, so I've just got a lacy die here, some foliage and flowers that I cut with dies from my stash. I've got the curling Christmas tree cut foil and embossed die here, the Noel frame that's part of the Couture Creations Naughty or Nice collection, along with these papers and the dies I'm using. So I've just, as I say, cut it all out, lots of die cuts, see how it fits nicely together. Okay, so quite I think a traditional way of making cards is that you just kind of cut it all out and see how it looks nice, then stick it down. Okay, so that's that one. This one again is using the cut foil and embossed dies. Let me just make sure we're clear on that. The cut foil and embossed dies have raised edges to do the foiling and a cutting edge to cut out the shape, all in one die. Let me get that a bit closer. Yeah, it's foiled and cut out. Okay, I've buried that die somewhere under here. So they have focus, cutting edge around the outside and raised flat areas that actually transfer the foil. Okay, so similarly I've used cut foil and embossed dies on here, but I fold onto some of the pattern papers in the collection, and the only difference there is I put a layer of card behind, because they are quite thin, to make sure they're pushed into the die correctly so that they foil nicely. Sometimes get some over foiling, but it seems to come away quite easily with a rubber. Okay, or your Couture Creations creative detailer. Okay, and then I've just added a die cut poinsettia and a piece from the ephemera collection, and these are the bracket frame from the Couture Creations Modern Essentials cut foil and embossed dies. You don't have to foil them, you can just use them as dies and you end up with this nice debossed detail around the edge, or you can ink them and it will colour it for you. But those I have to plan a bit more because I need to figure out which bits of my pattern paper I'm using. And for my foil, I like to cut the middle out. I use a craft knife or scalpel and cut it out with the foil, with the die laid on top of the foil. And I start with the largest one because I quite often find if I've cut it carefully, I've then got enough foil that I've cut out the middle to cut the next layer. So I cut the middle out of that, and then I've got pieces of foil for my Christmas tree and my sentiment that are pristine pieces of foil because they've not been in the machine, they've not got any bits missing. Okay, so that's those two. And then this card, this 3-panel card, has got foiling with hot foil stamps, so they don't cut out. So you have to plan where you're going to put them and do your foiling before you stick anything down. Okay, now the strip ones are great, really versatile. If I'm foiling on a narrow strip like this and I've already cut the strip, then I tend to stick it to a larger piece of card because it makes it easier to handle on the go press and foil. So let me show you how I position this to get it in the right place. And I've done the same for the Christmas tree, the same technique for positioning. Okay, so I've got my hot foil stamp over here, and I'm going to cut my foil to size before I do anything else. There we are. It's a bit wide off the roll. You can't see what I'm doing very well. Okay, and then I'm just going to snip the corners off as well, because they are the prime culprit for overfoiling, because they'll dip down and touch the hot surface of your paper or card and stick themselves, so the foil will transfer at those points. I'll just put that down and take just a little bit off of these corners. Okay, and then I have here, I'm going to foil onto this version of the topper. Okay, so this one's green, but it's from the same page as the one I used on the card. So I have here the sort of magnet you get in a stamping platform. You can buy them separately, and this one is, I think, 2 centimeters in diameter and 1.5 millimeters thick. Okay, and I've wrapped it in masking tape. Now I've got nice wide masking tape, but if you haven't got any of the wide stuff, just use the narrow one and do a piece going one way and a piece going another, and just make sure you leave it so that you've got handles sticking out that you can grab this by quite firmly. Okay, nice big handle. Right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my topper that's cut to size. So this might be a die cut topper. This just happens to have been trimmed out of the paper pad, and I'm going to put my die, make sure it's the right way up so the M's at the top. The M is at the top, and put it roughly where I want it on my piece of card or my topper. Okay, and I'm going to put my magnet on the back. See, the magnet sticks, and then that will hold on to my hot foil stamp, and I can slide the magnet around if I need to, if I've got it in the wrong place, and I can move this around a bit if it's crooked, or if it just needs to come over a bit, and I can decide exactly where I want that to be. Okay, and the magnet holds it in place. Okay, so let's get the GoPress over, and you can see where this is going. So this is quite quick to do. It's much better than doing it by trial and error or measuring, and I'm not afraid of measuring. I'm quite happy to measure things, but this is easier. So I'm going to turn it over. Okay, see the magnet's still attached, sorry, the hot foil stamp's still attached by the magnet. Put that in place. It is important that it's a strong stamp press type magnet. They are neodymium magnets. They come in lots of different sizes. So I've just held the hot foil stamp down through the paper while I take the magnet away. Now it is starting to get hot, so let's take my fingers and that off of there. So now I'm going to leave the hot foil stamp to warm up. Okay, and I've got my foil here. Now I always advise people to do testing to see how many shims they need, and I did my testing earlier, and I found that with this red foil on this particular paper with this hot foil stamp, 1 shim was what worked best. Okay, I did try some, I think I started with 3. If I've got the one I did with 3 still on the table here somewhere. See that one? No, it's got buried. But anyway, lots of overfoiling with 3, bit of overfoiling with 2. 1 worked really well. So that's now got hot. That didn't take long. So I can open this up and put my foil on. And while I'm here, I'm just noting which side the M is, so I get my topper the right way up in a moment. So I want the M at the top, so the top needs to go the same side as the M. the M of Mary that is. Okay, piece of tape, and I'm going to put that in the corner. So I'm taping the card to the white plastic outside that doesn't get hot. Okay, then I'm going to put my one card shim on top, and then I'm going to make sure that is still hot enough. I'm going to plug it back into the base. And that won't take a moment to warm up. Let me just turn the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just waiting for the GoPress and foil to get warm. And then I use a Big Shot Plus, so you can use the Couture Creations die cutting machines, or the smaller Big Shot, or Spellbinders Platinum. There's quite a number that the GoPress fits through. So winding slowly and gently, just about feel when the tension change when the roller hits the hot foil stamp. All the way through and then all the way back. Okay, so I'm going to peel that off with the tape, move that out of the way. Okay, so here's my foiling. Let me just zoom the camera in a bit. There we are. Okay, so let's peel that off. There we are. So it's come out exactly where I wanted it. Okay, so if I've got space, put my strip along the bottom if I want to, add embellishments in the corner. Okay, I might have wanted it over this side. It's up to you, and you using the magnet gives you complete control. Okay, I did the Christmas tree in exactly the same way. So before you stick anything down, you take your card panel and you position your Christmas tree with your magnet. And in fact, if you're doing several and you've got the panels all the same size, you can do one and then you can put your hot foil stamp back on, and you feel when it's back in the same place, and you can position your hot foil stamp with this one and then use the next piece of card that's the same size on the hot foil stamp, or even better, get it all ready before you start, so that you can just leave your Christmas tree in place and just keep changing over your card on your foil and rolling again. Okay, so you can kind of do a batch make, and that really saves lots of time. Okay, so that's how it's done. When I'm doing the long strips, I do use two magnets, because I find if I just use one, they tend to twist. Okay, what went on with the card? Oh, so yeah, so as I say, for the long strips like these, and the beautiful ones in the collection, and they don't necessarily have to be used for Christmas. They're great for any occasion, any sort of card. So you see I foiled it in red here and then in gold down this side. So this one, as I say, it's the hot foil stamp is longer than the piece of card. So what I did there was I just decided how far along the measurements at the side I was going to line up the card, and then taped it down there. Okay, so 3 cards, 3 different ways of organising my thinking when I'm making them. And I just kind of wanted to give you a glimpse into how I plan what I'm going to do. Okay, thank you for watching.